Dear young married couple, are you looking to get into the mental health field, or are you working with people consistently? Well, we want to answer some of the questions that we get on a almost weekly basis.
Yes. And before we do that, we want to let you know that Having the Talks is available on Amazon now. People have been asking, when is it going to be available again? But it's available now. You can go to the link in the show notes. You can also go to havingthetalks.com and you can go right to the Having the Talks listing on Amazon from that page.
Yes. Thank you, Jesus. So happy.
It's a long time coming.
So happy about that. So, I'm gonna actually angle most of this conversation toward Karissa, because she is the licensed marriage and family therapist and has been working in the field for about 12 years.
Almost, yeah.
Almost 12 years. And is an incredible, I've had the honor of sitting in a lot of counseling sessions and counseled with her. And she is really, really good at what she does.
Aw, thanks, babe.
Yeah.
Also, my husband is really, really good at what he does. But, it's interesting. A lot of people will ask us questions about becoming a therapist or becoming a coach. What's the difference? And that's what we want to share today, because Adam is a certified life coach. He also has a lot of certifications and trainings in various counseling modalities. And then I'm a marriage and family therapist. And so we have different backgrounds and training and education. And so people want to know, what's the difference? I want to become a counselor or a therapist or a coach or ministerial counselor. And so we're going to share with you our own journey to becoming a counselor in this field. And then we'll share with you some options.
Yeah. And maybe in a different episode, we could talk about the different modalities and what we like to use, and maybe answering or giving maybe some questions that we commonly ask, and kind of give some direction for lay counseling.
Right.
So let's talk about kind of your journey.
Okay.
How'd you get into counseling, babe?
Right. Okay. So this is going to be the more traditional approach to becoming a licensed marriage and family therapist, but there are lots of approaches. So we'll just put that out there. You don't have to take my exact journey. But typically, if you want to pursue a degree in marriage and family therapy or become a therapist, you would get a bachelor's degree in psychology or something related. So I got a bachelor's degree in psychology from Eastern Oregon University. And then I jumped right into a master's program in counseling psychology. And that was through National University. They have an online program now, but I did their in-person program, which was a 2-year program. Mine was just shy of 2 years, I think. And about a year in, you start doing practicum, where you start gaining hours toward licensure and actually working with clients. I still remember my first client was a couple, and God bless them.
That's rough.
12 years ago.
Couples are definitely more difficult than individuals.
Yeah. Well, especially when you're a newbie. And at the time I was 21, I think. It was 2010.
I remember you being all nervous going to that one.
Yeah. So that was, 2010. So then once you finish your degree, whatever number of hours the master's program requires of you for counseling, you'll add to that by the time you get licensed. So I think my program, for instance, required 250 hours of counseling. Yep. So finished those 250 hours, got the master's degree, but then you have to get 3,000 hours of counseling.
Which is a lot of counseling.
It's a lot. It takes minimum 2 years. They won't accept your application if it hasn't been 2 years since graduation. So it takes minimum 2 years, but it can take longer. For me, it took 3 years.
And you have to actually have a supervisor to look over and over all your hours, and to do weekly supervision too.
Yes. So they meet with you weekly, and you present your caseload and share what's going on, and they give you guidance, give you supervision, and hey, try this modality, do this differently. Have you gone this direction with them? Also checking in on law and ethics related stuff.
Yeah. And actually part of the DYMC team are kind of from that process, where Chris has walked with a lot of clinicians and helped them get their licensure. And it's been a good experience.
They're awesome. Our team of clinicians, they're almost licensed themselves. Yeah. They're done with their 3,000 hours. They're just studying for their exam. So that's another thing. You take 2 exams after you've already graduated with your master's. You take a law and ethics exam, and then you take a clinical exam.
Yeah, and a lot of the clinicians also have interestingly, have like kind of focused in on their like favorite clientele or their favorite subject. So, and that's kind of common. So if you don't work with us, you could be working with one of our people.
They're so awesome. Yeah. So for instance, Cynthia, she specializes in working with mamas. So anything related to, motherhood, postpartum. She works with a lot of young ladies as well. And then Miguel specializes in working with trauma, grief and loss. And he's also Spanish speaking. And then kind of like unrelated to all of that, he works with people on their relationship with food. So pre-bariatric patients. So kind of these niche specialty areas.
Yeah. So what else? What's the next step?
So that's in a nutshell how to become a therapist just from an academic and clinical perspective, and if you wanted to go the traditional route. So I want to back up and share that you don't have to get a bachelor's degree in psychology. In fact, some of the clinicians on our team, their degrees are in I think like human studies or human development. You can get a degree in sociology. The key component here is that whatever master's degree program you want to get into, you got to make sure that you're getting the prerequisites for that program. So if they require like abnormal psychology or, what's personality psychology, some of those basic intro to psych classes, you want to make sure that you've taken those. And if you get a bachelor's in psych, then you will have taken those. Mm-hmm.
So that's the path. Also, though, that a lot of people I don't think about is that you'll then have to build your practice.
Right.
So either you go find a practice to work in, and that can be done. But I find that, are those super common, you think?
I mean, you can definitely find like community counseling opportunities. And I recommend that everyone get some community counseling experience, where it's sliding scale or free counseling for the clients through like a government funded program. Cause you're going to see like the whole gamut types of clients, right? You're going to get experience with crisis and suicidal clients and people with low SES that are, finding it really difficult to even survive. And there's so much value in working with that clientele.
Yeah. And it is a lot crazier. And it also depends too, is if you get on insurance boards and you do like sliding scale stuff, which means that you're going to get a huge variety of clients.
Right.
But that's a whole different discussion for a different day.
Insurance boards have their pros and cons. We don't work with insurance boards because we'll just give you our reasons. It lacks confidentiality, because you have to share everything with the insurance company. But B, there's a lot of gray ethics involved because they will only reimburse or fund those sessions if you have a certain diagnosis. And sometimes the client doesn't have that diagnosis. And so a lot of clinicians are put in that position to like diagnose somebody with something so that it will get covered, even if they don't have that diagnosis. We don't want to be put in that position. So we don't work with insurance companies.
Yeah. Well, insurance can you could do 10 sessions with a client, submit everything, and they can just be like, nope. And you're kind of stuck with that.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of a big mess.
It is. So we personally don't work with insurance, but some people do and they do it well. So we're not against it entirely. That's just something that we've chosen. So that's kind of like the traditional route. Now let's talk about other routes in working in the field of counseling, but maybe not becoming a licensed therapist.
Right. So I'm a philosopher.
Yes.
My degree is in apologetics and philosophy. So I was not really going the route of counseling, but we've already given our story here on the podcast, but God just provided opportunities for us to be working with people with Dear Young Married Couple. Before that, though, I had been a youth pastor. I had lots and lots of counseling in that. And
mentoring.
Yeah, mentoring. And then Dear Young Married Couple started, and we started doing a lot of seminars. And so, and of course, a byproduct of that is we were working with a lot of individuals.
And so Adam already had his bachelor's degree in philosophy and a master's degree in apologetics, so Christian philosophy. And so he had already been toying with, coaching from a spiritual perspective and doing a lot of mentorship and guidance and counseling ministerially.
Anyway, yeah.
Exactly. And so because we were doing marriage seminars and people were wanting marriage counseling from us as a couple, Adam decided to dig in and get trained in the counseling field. And so instead of going and getting a marriage and family therapy degree, Adam ended up getting some certifications.
Yeah, so I got Prepare and Enrich certified, and then Gottman Level 1 certified, and then I'm forgetting others. Like I got a
life
coaching certification, and then I have 50 book certification.
Adam has read more counseling books than I have, for sure.
And those are just like, studying the different modalities and stuff. So that's kind of the route I took. And people often say like, well, why not just do that? There is a huge benefit, I think, to formal education in that it makes you study, it makes you read a lot, it makes you write a lot. So the
critical thinking skills.
Yeah, critical thinking skills. So I think that's very helpful. Then you have kind of a beaten path of, okay, this is how you set up a practice. This is how and then people could trust you because now you have these letters behind your name and you can go on Psychology Today and, put your shingle up, in other words. So and then that's trusted. So that's the very beaten path. It's very helpful for people. Sometimes though, people are like, well, I don't necessarily want to go through years and years of school to learn how to counsel. I just want, some basic skills because I'm already working with people, so sometimes I think a life coaching degree would be perfectly adequate.
Or life coaching certificate.
Yeah, I said degree.
Yeah. And especially if you do have formal education already, like Adam had a bachelor's and a master's degree, even if it wasn't in counseling, it was a formal degree. And so you had that background academically and developed critical thinking skills. So, you have some options if you wanted to go that route. One option that we're both advocates of is a Christian counseling certificate. So there's a Christian counseling certificate at Wilson University. We were actually part of developing that certificate and some of the coursework for it. It's 4 courses and it takes a little less than a year to complete those 4 courses. There's an introduction to counseling, and then you pick 3 electives. So the electives are, options like couples counseling, grief and loss, financial counseling, addictions counseling, a couple others. And so it's, I like this option, even if you're just wanting to get your feet wet and consider a full marriage and family therapy degree, because you can decide like, is this something I want to pursue? But even if not, I have all of these skills ministerially, under my belt, and I can use them in the church or in my ministry and helping and guiding others. So I love that option. We'll put that link in the show notes. And if you're watching this when it airs in July, you can actually start right away. So the start dates, just so you know, are September 26th. So you can start in about a month and a half, September 26th, and then the applications are due September 12th. So you want to act quickly if you want to get into that program.
Yeah. And if you listeners know of any other great programs that maybe aren't like your typical, go to a college, but like a great certificate like that, let us know.
Yes.
And we'd love to see what you have to say and maybe even share that information with other people, because this is such a wonderful, I never thought I'd be so fulfilled helping people do, repair from infidelity and trauma and like all the things that we see. It's such, I see it as such, you being the hands and feet of Jesus in people's lives. Just the other day, I was helping someone repair from a huge breach that had been years and years and years in the making, and bringing Jesus into those moments where they were filled with strife and sadness and helping to mend and watching them come together.
Yes.
It's such a beautiful, intimate thing to behold.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about it, really maybe take action a little bit on some of that curiosity. Maybe this would be a wonderful path for you.
We definitely recommend a Christian program. Unfortunately, I did not go through a Christian program for my bachelor's and master's, and I saw a lot of liberal agenda. Thankfully, I powered through that, but I think a lot of people could be drugged down and weighed down by a liberal agenda. And so starting with something like Wilson University, it's a Christian program from an apostolic worldview. We know there are other Christian programs out there as well. And so we definitely would recommend a Christian program. Biola, where you got your master's degree, has an integration program. So
really good one.
Yeah, integrating psychology and theology. It's really good. And that's a full marriage and family therapy degree.
Yeah, and I got my my bachelor's from a secular college.
Yeah.
Great experience, super hard.
Yeah.
I remember really working hard on that one. And I liked that experience, but I was prepared for it. And it was a little bit later in my life. So if you have any questions, really shoot us an email or DM. We'd love to answer it. We probably didn't get to all the questions here because this is such a faceted, so many different angles to go at this. So hopefully answer some of the questions. And like we said, shoot us other suggestions for colleges or Christian colleges that offer counseling certificates or even degrees. That'd be awesome.
We'll put everything we talked about today in the show notes so that you have it and can go check out the options. We look forward to connecting with you further about this.